Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. I just got back from CWL Champs, the final CWL Champs, where E United just took the title against 100 Thieves. I actually had a fun time going over there, but it kind of reminded me of a ton of tips and tricks that I think I could give to you guys from watching all those pro games. There's a ton of things that pro players do that I don't think we do on a regular basis. Obviously, they play Call of Duty for money, so they take it a little bit more seriously than the casual player. But I think there's a lot of things we can take from how they play the game and incorporate it in how we play to become better players. Hopefully you guys do like the tips. I have a ton of them in the video. If you do, please remember to hit that like button. And if you want to find your way back, just go ahead and make sure you hit the subscribe button with notifications on. We are closing in on 100,000 subscribers. Only about 3,500 subscribers until we reach that 100,000 subscriber milestone. Do appreciate all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. So the first thing we'll go ahead and talk about on the list is that the pro players tend to use the exact same weapons. And in competitive Call of Duty, they use the ICR-7, they use the SOG 9mm, as well as the Maddox RFB. And just because this is what they use doesn't necessarily mean these are the best weapons in the entire game. Because of the different rule set the competitive Call of Duty brings, along with the different gentlemen's agreements, there might be different attachments and different weapons that'll be a little bit more viable in public matches. But regardless of what weapon you decide to go with, the key is to master that weapon. And when someone is an AR main in Call of Duty competitive, they use the ICR for the entire year. They use the Maddox for the entire year. If they're going to be an SMG main, they're going to be using the SOG for the entire year. And pretty much that's how those things work out. Obviously, if you want to use the Spitfire or the KN or the Grab or whatever the case is, find what weapons you want to use most, primarily the rifles and the SMGs, and get really good at using those. And the next thing that a lot of pro players do that probably you're not is picking up weapons off the floor. This is a little bit more viable and competitive because they only use those handful of weapons, so they always know what they're going to get with those specific attachments. Versus when you play in pubs, you might get someone that doesn't know how to do a class setup, so they have some pretty bad attachments on certain weapons. So you kind of got to take that as you go. You run into someone that is using a good weapon, maybe they're using a rifle and you're using an SMG. After you take them out, just pay attention to the name and make sure you pick up their weapon. If you get into engagements at a little bit longer range, you'll be able to deal with it, especially if you're not able to hit those shots. And that one's more of a minor tip. One of the next tips that we'll go ahead and talk about, and I think is actually pretty important. You see a lot of pro players do this when they're warming up for their scrims. A lot of streamers do it when they first jump on their stream, and that is to warm up. And how they do that is they go ahead, set up a custom match with bots. And the main focus of this particular drill is to test your accuracy. So you want the bots and recruit, because you don't really need anyone shooting you back. All you're trying to do is land as many shots as possible and to be as accurate as possible. So you're going to increase the score limit, still leave the time limit at 10 minutes, or if you want to go for longer, you can definitely do that. And then you're going to want to make it so that the mini map is constant and always on. And the main reason for that is because you're not trying to work on your map awareness, positioning, or anything like that. This is purely to get your shot dialed in. And this is a pretty simple concept. They do this particularly in sports where maybe you warm up, you do some certain drills, kind of get your body going through the motion so you're already warmed up, so that when you jump into that first match, you'll be 100% ready to go. So that's going to go ahead and transition us to the fourth thing that professional players do that maybe the casual or the people that play Call of Duty on a regular basis don't normally pay attention to, and that is in relation to specialists. And for those of you that are unaware, in competitive Call of Duty, the specialists work slightly different than they do in public matches. So how specialists are earned in competitive Call of Duty is that you have to earn score or kills, and that's the only way you're going to get your specialist. And then when it comes to public matches, they're also earned over time. So pretty much if someone was to sit still on the map and do nothing for the entire mode, they didn't capture any objectives, they didn't pick up tags, they didn't get killed, they basically walk away with 0 score, they're still pretty much guaranteed access to that specialist ability. But in general, it takes about 10 to 15 kills to earn that specialist ability in public matches, especially if someone is actually playing the match. If they just play campy for the whole time, they could actually get 3 kills and still get their specialist. But in general, if someone has about 10 or 12 kills, odds are if they haven't used their specialist, they have it. And the main reason they actually care about this is because if someone's going to have the War Machine or the Purifier, they go ahead and make sure they switch to Flak Jacket so they can actually counter that. And I guess there's different specialists you want to avoid, but me in particular, the main one I focus on is Zero, to find out if they have their ice pick ability so I can make sure I can safely call in my streaks. So those are always different things to consider. With Zero in particular, if they got 0 kills, it would take them about 9.5 to 10 minutes to actually earn the specialist ability. And if they're actually getting them kills, It'll probably take around 12 to 15 kills to earn that ability. So that's just another side thing that they do that I think a lot of players just don't pay attention to. Now let's go ahead and talk about the fifth thing that pro players do that you're probably not doing, and if you are doing, or if you've seen it before, might not quite understand how this mechanic works. And I've talked about this mechanic before. It is called ADS spam, and it is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Pretty much you're spamming that ADS, or aim down sight, which will allow you to fully aim down sight, get out of aim down sight, and then back into fully aim down sight. And if you do this with the right timing, it'll feel like you have a version of stock 1 or stock 2 on the weapon, even if the weapon doesn't have stock equipped. So right here, we'll go ahead and watch a few examples. This is just the regular strafing speed of the SOG. When you actually are aiming down sight, you can see it's considerably slower. And when you're ADS spamming, you can see it's faster. Then I go ahead and equip stock. You can see it speeds up a little bit. When you do the ADS spam, it's even faster. And you can also do this with pretty much any weapon, but one of the popular weapons to do this with is the Maddox with double quick draw. The main reason for that is because it doesn't change your field of view. You can see when you're ADS spamming, the screen doesn't move when you have double quick draw, so it makes it that much easier to focus down range where you're aiming. You can see right here with the ICR, when I do that ADS spam, the screen's gonna shake quite a bit, and that's because it does not have quick draw 2. So this is the only thing that this helps with. Some people have said, hey, you know what, it resets your recoil, it helps with aim assist and target assist. All that's false. The only thing it helps with is faster strafing, which allows you to be a harder target to hit and hopefully win more gunfights. And that's why when you see the pro players play, they will ADS spam with pretty much any weapon, but once they engage in that gunfight, they hold that aim down sight and they pull that trigger. They might even do a little bit of burst control if the person's at a little bit further range, and that's pretty much what they do. We still have a couple more tips for you. The next one we'll go ahead and focus on is the shot punch. This has to be one of the most annoying ways to die, and pretty much how the mechanic works is that in game everyone should have 150 health unless they are attack 5 boosted. The melee damage from a regular melee is 145. That means that after you melee someone, they will have 5 health. So to kill them, all you need to do is land 1 bullet either before or after, and they will be finished off, because every bullet in the game does more than 5 damage. But typically the order you want to focus on is a shot, then a punch. And I'm gonna explain this part because it might not be obvious to everyone, but pretty much when you do a shot, then a punch, the person will die halfway through the melee animation. So as soon as you make impact, the person's already dead. Even if your arm's swinging and there's follow through, the person's dead the instant that you press that melee button. But when you do it the other way around and you melee before shooting, you end up going through that full melee animation, bring your weapon up and then pull the trigger, and then that little bit of time delay will get you killed. And obviously, like I said, the shot punch will work with any weapon, but the key thing to remember is it can be significantly easier the higher your mobility. And that's why a lot of pro players will use the dexterity. They'll slide, hip fire, and melee all at the same time, or shoot melee as they jump through a window or whatever the case is. So definitely if you're using an SMG or a pistol, you're going to be able to slide in there, land a shot, melee, and take the enemy player out. And that's actually going to bring us to the number 7 thing that pro players do that you're probably not doing. And this is actually the most technically difficult to do and requires the most amount of practice. And it's known by different names. Some people call it cornering, some people call it a slide cancel, but whatever you call it, it is a way to break your opponent's aim assist. And the easiest way to explain that is you go into a slide, you cancel it by aiming down sight and then strafing in the opposite direction. And this technique, it really revolves around the mobility of the weapon. So having dexterity will give you that extra slide, and then if the ability to have stock when you come out of that slide will allow you to immediately strafe in the opposite direction at a relatively decent speed. So in the background, what you're watching is a little bit of SOG gameplay because it does have double stock, which makes it significantly easier just to change that direction on a dime. And typically what you're going to see is me go ahead and slide far to the right, and then immediately go ahead and aim down sight and strafe to the left. And then when I go ahead and slide to the left, I go ahead and immediately aim down sight and then strafe to the right. And it's actually a pretty simple concept, but it's very difficult to pull off. But pretty much what you're doing is abusing the player's aim assist, target assist, so that with your slide, they go ahead and keep moving in that direction because the momentum will carry their crosshairs in that direction. And then when you're cutting to the opposite side, they're going to be a little bit behind you, and if their sensitivity is not high enough, they're not going to be able to track you. So those are the 7 things that pro players do that you're probably not doing on a regular basis. Even myself included, I don't do all of those things. But a little bonus tip is that obviously if you want to test these things out, League Play is a good place to start once you've gone ahead and completed all your placement matches, because then you'll be with like skilled players. So hopefully you guys did like the video in some way. If you did, hit the like button, and if you're brand new, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you made it to this point in the video. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. If you can help me get there, I'd be very appreciative of that. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day. And this is primarily for anyone looking to stay engaged or connected in another way. I do stream on Twitch as well as stay connected on Twitter. So if you want to go ahead and follow me on Twitch, it's just JGOD_gaming, linked in the description. Same thing for Twitter. If you want to go ahead and follow there, stay connected, submit your gameplay for review, you can go ahead and follow me over on Twitter at JGODYT. Do appreciate all the support. Thank you and have a great day.